We are going to be looking at some creepy videos, strange and odd news stories, and as always, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. Make no mistake about it, when it comes to movies, my favorite genre of course happens to be horror. But more specifically, I like psychological horror. Though every now and then I do have a guilty pleasure for the Final Destination movies, and when it comes to the most recent Final Destination, there is a scene that involves an MRI, and let's just go ahead and say, it was very horrific. So when I heard this news story, I was absolutely floored because I knew it had to be bad. This news story of a man passing away after being sucked into an MRI. But here's the thing, not only is this story very wild, but it's also very weird. This woman, Adrienne Jones McAllister, she was undergoing an MRI on her knee when she asked the technician to go get her husband, Keith McAllister, to help her get off the table. So the technician obliges and she goes to get this woman's husband, and I guess for whatever reason, they fail to turn off the MRI machine. But whatever, when this technician goes out to get this 61-year-old man, he is seen wearing a 20-pound metal chain around his neck. This big metal chain is meant for heavyweight training. I don't see many people outside the gym wearing these, but I guess they do. Now, I'm not saying they don't, I'm sure they do, but this chain, which happens to be very visible around this man's neck, the technician still allows him to go back to the MRI room, and while a scan was underway, the machine's strong magnetic force drew him in by the metallic chain around his neck. This is what makes the story very weird. A big 20-pound metal chain, you would think they would not even allow it inside the building. Even if this was a dainty necklace, they do not allow any type of jewelry, no matter how small it happens to be, to go where the MRIs are actually taking place. You don't even need to be a technician to know that. You don't even need to work in the medical field to know that. That's just common knowledge. But this story gets even worse because he was not instantly sucked into the machine. It was not something instant. He was being slowly drawn to the machine while he was trying to take the weight off. As he was struggling to get the weight off, he was getting closer and closer to his wife and the MRI machine until it was too late. The machine switched him around, pulled him in, and he hit the MRI. The whole time that this man is being taken into this machine, his wife, with tears down her eyes, she's yelling to turn off the machine, call 911, do something. She was trying to pull her husband off the machine. She also said the technician also tried to help her pull her husband off the machine, but it was impossible. But my question happens to be, why was nobody turning the machine off? Matter of fact, MRIs have emergency switches that when they are pressed, they instantly cut off the power to the MRI. And given the fact that this was not something instant and you have somebody operating the MRI machine, what's going on here? My next question would happen to be, still, why did they allow this man with a 20-pound chain to go into an MRI building? This isn't a hospital with multiple floors. It's a smaller MRI building. This is a big hazard he has around his neck. What is even more bizarre is that this man has gone to this location, this building, multiple times with this chain, and the staff has had conversations with this man about this chain, telling him, oh, that's a big chain. Now, the whole time he was being pulled into this machine, he was actually still alive, waving goodbye to his wife before his body went limp, and unfortunately, he passed away. This had taken place in New York, and actually, this is not the first New York death to result from an MRI machine. In 2001, a 6-year-old had his life ended at the Westchester Medical Center when an oxygen tank flew into the chamber drawn in by the MRI's 10-ton electromagnetic. After he was freed from the machine, he had a heart attack. When it comes to this story, I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice and say that more than likely what had happened with her yelling for her husband to come help her get down, the staff, the technicians were not allowing him to go back there, so he took it upon himself to go back there and help her, and nobody noticed, and this is when he was sucked in by the machine. This is really the only thing I can make sense of because I can't see how any technician would allow this man to go back there with this very heavy chain that's visibly around his neck. But then again, one would think that you would need some kind of special access to go through the doors to go to the section where the MRIs are being held. I'm really curious to see what more comes from this story, but I do want to hear from you all. What do you think happened here? In this next creepy segment, for those that have been subscribed to me for quite some time now, you know I have been keeping myself updated with those news stories coming out where people are losing their lives under very mysterious circumstances in multiple locations, those locations being Texas, Portland, Oregon, and the New England area. While the residents in these locations have been very worried, we have the police telling people, don't worry about it, nothing to see here, nobody's going around and ending lives. And it would seem like the police, they are using scapegoats to dispel these rumors. Like this woman who was found in a suitcase, they arrest her roommate, and they would go on to tell news and media, see, nobody's going around ending lives because this case was a personal case. But come to find out, her roommate, he also passed away under mysterious circumstances in his jail cell about 3 days later. In the span of 3 months, there have been 15 to 16 bodies found. The residents, they believe there are a lot more bodies being found, and the police, they are just keeping it under wraps. But the most recent person found this month was this individual right here, Sunshine Stewart, 48. Sunshine, she goes out paddleboarding, and when she did not return, the police, they conducted a search for her, and they found her body at Crawford Pond in Union. The police instantly knew it was a homicide because blunt force and strangulation was involved. The residents, once again, are worried. They're saying that they want more answers. Something's going on here. This is not normal for their location, all these bodies to keep popping up. And the police, they continue to be very quiet. But now we have an update when it comes to what happened to Sunshine Stewart. The police, they have a suspect. Now, we don't know if this is the actual suspect or somebody they are just trying to pin the blame on so they can go ahead and quell any fears like they did with the woman who was found in the suitcase and her roommate. Because the suspect that they have is a 17-year-old, court documents unsealed with the Rockland County District Court in Knox County identify the teen as Devin Young and say he acted with depraved indifference to Stewart's life when he allegedly intentionally ended her life. It is said he is somebody that is familiar with this area, this location, because every summer he goes out there with his family for a vacation. He is being charged as an adult, but police are not releasing a motive, and they are not saying how they knew he was the suspect. When this news story first broke out, it was said that police were combing through video footage of the area, so maybe they have him on camera, I don't know. But I just can't help but wonder, is this just another instance of police looking to pin the blame on just anybody? Because this 17-year-old was just on summer vacation with his family, and these bodies were popping up well before he took this vacation, back in April. This next creepy video comes from True Crime with Alexis, and this story kind of gives off Elisa Lam vibes, the woman who was found in a water tank at the Cecil Hotel.
This is one of the most bizarre and unexplained deaths I've ever come across. On February 28th of 1989 at around 6 p.m., an elementary school teacher was walking to her dorm from the school in the freezing cold. This dorm was a singular room with an attached bathroom in the mountain village of Miyakoji in Japan. It was a mountain village, it wasn't super developed, so they had these squatting toilets. Right below the opening to the toilet was a septic tank that made a U-shape so that the other side was on the outside so it could be periodically emptied. When this 23-year-old teacher went home this night, she happened to glance down in the toilet and was shocked when she saw a large black shoe. Obviously confused and most likely curious, she ran outside to take the lid off of the septic tank and was shocked when she saw a human leg. It was found that this was a man with no shirt or shoes on, laying on his back with his legs bent and his hands on his chest, under them a neatly folded shirt. His face was under the hole of the toilet and he was facing up, which could just seem like a creepy guy who died unexpectedly from either the cold or septic or something like that. But no one even knows how he got in the septic tank in the first place. The toilet had an opening of about 8 inches, which he definitely could not have fit through, and the septic tank had an opening of about 15 inches, which it is also very unlikely he could have fit through. It is said that at the time, a 26-year-old Japanese male had the average shoulder width of 16 inches, which is already bigger than the opening. Even if he somehow managed to get through this opening, there is obviously not a lot of room in this tank, so it's unknown how he maneuvered into this position. No one has been able to come up with a plausible answer of why he took his shirt off either, and only one shoe was found in the septic tank. The other one has never been located. This has caused a lot of people to speculate that he did not get in there on his own, that he was killed somewhere else, and that may be where the shoe is. After being thoroughly cleaned, the body was found to be that of 26-year-old Naya Yuki Kanno, who had been missing for 4 days. The autopsy revealed that he most likely died on February 26, 2 days after he had went missing and 2 days before he was found. There were very minor scratches on his elbows and knees, but that was all the trauma he had to his body. It was concluded by police that he died of hypothermia while trying to creep on women. However, in my opinion, that doesn't really make sense.
So this happened back in 1989. The case has been closed out and still no answers, but reading this website right here, when it comes to theories and rumors, despite the lack of concrete evidence, various theories emerged about Kanno's death. Some locals believe that Kanno, known for his strong sense of justice, may have uncovered something he shouldn't have, possibly related to illicit activities at the nuclear plant. This led to speculation that he was silenced by powerful individuals who feared exposure. The website continues to say one controversial theory suggested that Kanno entered the bathroom to spy on the teacher who was his friend. However, this doesn't add up. Given their friendship and the holiday, that would have made such an attempt impractical. Another theory implicated the teacher in his passing, possibly due to some form of harassment. This was also dismissed due to lack of evidence, and like I said, the case still remains unsolved but closed. And the only reason why I'm talking about it is due to, personally, I've never heard of this before. And another reason, like I said, it kind of gives off Elisa Lam vibes. But outside of people passing away under very suspicious circumstances, people again are seeing very strange and creepy things. This video comes from the Interstellar Discussion.
Mate, I've been sent in the weirdest piece of footage from Bulgaria, and it says here, owner of the property where the substance fell from the sky, okay? This is from Bulgaria, from a person called Mr. Ivanov. I'm going to try and translate what he's saying. He has good English, but I'm going to try and clean it up a little bit. So it says here, when we went, we saw a red ball. A slime was boiling like acid, and it smelt like molten metal and acid, and it was trying to set the grass on fire. I took the hose and poured water on it and it disappeared. There is nothing. It was like it was washed away by the water. No trace of it remained, only where it was burning and the grass where the red one flowed through the yard. The water turned red like red rust. Very strange, mate. Now this whole ordeal is just hella weird, and what they could kind of recover, they took soil samples and it's being processed by the mining university, right? Very strange. I need some of your guys' kind of thought processes on this, you know? I know there was kind of lots of rocket testings and things being fired off into space from China and the US. Is there a possibility of some sort of debris from a rocket ship falling through and landing in this person's yard here? But, I mean, I've never heard of anything like this. This kind of goo that apparently just washed away after being sprayed with water with no sort of sign of what it was. I don't know, mate. Guys, let me know down below, because this is hella crazy, man.
Eka удался, глядишь, кому когда выйдет. Gede. Mama Isa, no to mais.
Oh, agora já pode não, por favor.
O nebetu bem. Isto kamo kada.
Камера бе. Там се тук не
Isto kamo isso não. Na železu? Na gazbu ne.
Peki çizme.
So when it comes to what was seen here, some people are leaving some very interesting comments, like this individual right here. How the government starts wildfires, anything can be disposed of out of planes, including biohazards, viruses, and insects and bugs. This will ruin a country's biodiversity. Then they go on to say, but the fact they are able to wash it away indicates that it was never supposed to be seen by the general public. And Interstellar Discussion goes on to say, interesting, I wonder if any of this hot debris could be a contributing factor to many other wildfires seen across the world. And this is very true and something to think about. We had two massive wildfires break out on July 4th, one in the Grand Canyon and another one near Area 51, and both of these wildfires that took place on the same day were said to be caused by lightning strikes. But I can definitely see if something like this was dropped out of the sky, let's say from a plane on a very hot day, I can definitely see something like this causing a massive wildfire. In this next creepy video, this Delta pilot, he had to explain to the passengers why he had to make such a hard turn with the plane, causing the passengers to panic. But big ups to this pilot.
For those of you on the right-hand side, you probably saw the airplane kind of sort of coming at us. Nobody told us about it, and so we continued, and air traffic. There's no radar here, so the tower is controlled or excuse me, the tower does everything visually, and so they said report about you're 6 miles from the airport. So we did that. I think he realized that the spacing wasn't going to work, and he said turn right. And I looked over, and there was an airplane, which is supposed to be on the right-hand side. I thought it was a small airplane like the one you see at the airport right now doing touch and goes. And he said turn right. I said there's an airplane over there, and he says turn left. And then by the time we read back to clearance, looked over and saw the airplane that was kind of coming on a converging course with us. And so given his speed, it was a military, I don't know how fast they were going, but they were a lot faster than us. I felt it was the safest thing to do to turn behind it. So sorry about the aggressive maneuver. It caught me by surprise. This is not normal at all. I don't know why they didn't give us a heads up, because the Air Force Base does have radar, and nobody said, hey, there's also a B-52 in the pattern. Long story short, it was not fun, but I do apologize for it, and thank you for understanding. It was kind of not a fun day at work. So have a nice evening, and I'm glad you're safe.
That is very scary. This B-52 that was training in the area doesn't sound like this pilot had any real warning whatsoever. And, you know, if it wasn't for his quick thinking and his skills, we could have been looking at a major disaster here. These B-52s are not small planes whatsoever, and given the fact that it was flying faster than the Delta plane, yeah, that could have been a major disaster if the pilot did not decide to go ahead and go behind the B-52. So I just wonder if we're going to hear more about this story, if we're going to get a better perspective as to what happened, given the fact that this just happened yesterday, July 19th. This next video comes from the Paranormal Chick.
This is probably some of the creepiest CCTV footage I've seen in quite a while, and honestly, people have no idea what to make of it. Some are claiming it's the Grim Reaper, or even an angel of death. But whatever it is, the dog sees it and freaks out. But what's curious is take a look at the second view of it. There are shadows all along the wall. Take a look at this footage, comment below. Tell me what you see.
Animals do not lie. That dog definitely saw something. I know some people want to say that it could be a glitch on the camera and so forth, but that dog was definitely alerted to whatever that was. And to me, it looks like some kind of smoke entity walking or something along those lines. Very, very bizarre.
Okay, so here I am going down the Vatican rabbit hole again, and I ended up looking at the Black Eye Club, which I already talked about, but then I slid over to the Red Shoe Club, and when I say my mind is blown, because why are there so many celebrities, so many people in power that have worn red shoes, specifically in groups, even religious organizations, and when you look at the symbolism behind it, when you look at certain movie titles, even like this one movie called The Man with One Red Shoe, and that specific actor, I don't even want to say the name, go ahead and look it up, but if you know, has an IG page. And as somebody who's traveled in the States, 46 states alone, right? I've toured so many big cities. I myself have never seen so many random socks, shoes, gloves, just things like that. And as somebody who took time, who's out here just photographing these specific things? Looking back to his post from even like 2018, you're just like, something feels very sketchy. It feels almost like elusive, like you're trying to show the truth in plain sight, like you're affiliated with these things that you're posting, but this is all alleged. But back to the Red Shoe Club. When I tell y'all, there have been so many people, and they say that it's cultish, and when you look at what the symbolism in fact represents, it is jarring, it is mind-boggling, and it makes you want to pray that it's not real. But in the world of these lists not being revealed and all of the names that have been put on these PJs, these islands, all of these things, it really makes you question what's what, because nothing is impossible at this point. Let me know if you've ever looked in the Red Shoe Club. If you haven't, save this video, go look into it. Per usual, this is all alleged, can't confirm or deny any of it. It's all hypothetical. But come back and share your thoughts. Whatever else comes out, I'll be back with more updates. Make sure you like, follow, stay for some more.
The Red Shoe Club is indeed very, very disturbing. We are talking about the skin of children, and the rabbit hole goes very deep, and we're talking about some very big players involved. But talking about animals, dogs, noticing something very strange, this next video is very creepy, and this man recorded what it's like to live with his grandmother who suffers from dementia, but he also captured other things as well.
In the following video, a man named Nick is taking care of his sick grandmother when one night he sees this. Now, it's important to note that Nick's grandma has Alzheimer's, which often causes her to stand around and see things that don't appear to be there. But as she stands there, something happens that Nick can't explain. While taking this video, this is captured. Take a look. Apparently, something that was on top of the fridge had fallen over. It falls all of a sudden, which Nick says is made creepier by the fact that his grandmother's dog was growling. But this incident gets a whole lot strange when Nick shows what exactly fell from the fridge. Take a look.
Alright. So this is in response to last night. My grandma loves to collect little figurines. One of my grandma's little angels fell off the fridge last night. See how far back they are. Genuinely.
If the mini statue was sitting far back on the fridge, then just how exactly did it tip over? Nick has no clue, but after watching this clip many times, he notices something pretty freaky.
Honestly, I'm a bit in disbelief. No, I'm pretty sure it's just a plug-in charger. I brought my girlfriend Claire here so she can help me demonstrate. But can you try to step in front of that? And so it just does that. Move away. So that comment says that the Roomba doesn't do that unless someone's in front of it. My question is, like, he's kind of creepy with a smiley face and everything. Even when it gets to the edge, it does that.
Now, looking back at Nick's video, one can see that the Roomba does the same back and forth motion as if someone were standing in front of it. But the question is, just what exactly was in its way? To Nick, the Roomba might have been sensing something. Now, this is where things start to get pretty creepy, because ever since then, Nick has been feeling immensely uneasy by the kitchen space. Considering that his grandmother has no other TV in the house, except here, he has no choice but to watch near the kitchen. But one night, while watching alone, this happens.
So, I was watching my show, and after last night, I'm definitely not leaving these lights on. But I was watching my show, and there's nothing there.
There's no Roomba in sight to explain the dogs' behavior. Both dogs are staring at something, even though nothing is there. And it's the fact that they're looking at the kitchen that makes this even more unsettling. Now, it's worth noting that Nick's grandpa, who passed away last year, had once told Nick that he thought he'd seen his grandmother standing in the kitchen one night with the lights off. But apparently, he was wrong, because after looking closely, no one was there. It's for this reason, among others, that Nick is scared of the kitchen. But this wouldn't be the final reason, because on the same night he recorded this, the following happens. After putting away the dogs, he immediately films again after being startled by the ice maker, which was going off at this time. But as he records, this happens. Watch.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yo. Jesus.
Somehow, after just following Nick around the living room, the Roomba flips over. Despite there being nothing in its path, it does a complete 180 as if someone or something had forcefully turned it over. Freaked out, Nick stops recording and immediately shares the video online after posting the previous one. And like before, many comments point out things that he didn't notice initially. For one, the Roomba was already acting strange earlier. Unlike before, the mini Hoover was moving in a straight path, which is uncommon for vacuums of this kind to do. And second, it didn't pause and turn around when it sensed the stair's edge. Earlier, we can see the Roomba doing just that, but here, it doesn't. If what occurred before hadn't disturbed Nick, then surely this incident has. Not much else has happened since then, but for now, like most videos, this one remains a mystery.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.